What's up? How's it going? I'm Ryan Basseri from Rywire, and this is my electric converted S2000.
So why an S2000 and why EV?
Right, it's a pretty common question. So I'll say the first one is we're right next to Belade Sports, and they're a big S2000 shop, and they had a chassis for me, and they kind of said, like, if you want to ever do a project, we got a couple chassis and they might be, you know, cool to do something interesting. So I kind of thought about it for a while, and I started this project about, I don't know, maybe around 3 years ago. And the prestige of the S2000, I mean, not that it was ever, you know, low, but it wasn't at the height that it's at right now. You know, the value of these cars wasn't quite as crazy as it currently is. So I was like, you know, this is pretty cool chassis to try to do something cool with, I guess.
Right.
And it just kind of snowballed into something. It evolved, and you know, I really wanted to like challenge myself and teach myself the future, and that is the electric vehicle conversions. I'm used to the Honda platform, and what's like a better car to do than an S2000? So I just decided that it's in my face, it's ready to go, and decided to convert that one. Rywire is a company that I created in 2005. And we've been doing wiring harnesses and, you know, motorsport wiring projects for clients.
So which K20 is this?
This is actually a K20R engine. So it's a Japanese RSX Type S 02 to 04.
Wow, dude, this is epic. So show us what you do here. So like the wiring harness, I'm assuming?
Yep, of course. So we did a custom wiring harness for this car. You could see all the little yellow tags and the wiring loom and everything running around. And then it goes through the firewall with this little bulkhead plug right here. So it's just a quarter turn and it pops off. You can kind of fold that back and, you know, pull the engine out pretty easy.
One assembly. That's crazy. How do you pin all those and make it work here? What if you mess up something here? Do you get lost trying to figure out what's going on that side?
Well, we try to like color code all the stuff, and all the wiring is different colors that we are familiar with. Okay. We'll just build out the looms, and then we can quality control it on the other side, and, you know, make sure everything is perfect. But I mean, when you do something every day, all day for like 20 years, you get pretty familiar with it, right?
Dude, this is crazy.
So the goal was we were gonna have this car at the Turn 14 booth at SEMA, and I really wanted to make something like where people would look at it and be like, what the hell's going on here? And to have them be like, is that car electric, you know? So if basically you could turn this wheel, and when the Rywire lines up, this window shows my Stop Tech calipers. Oh. So it's a pretty cool thing, and the Stop Tech calipers are bright and shiny, kind of like the wheel.
Right.
So it gives a really crazy look, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people were like, oh, does it balance? And actually it does balance. It's just quite heavy. That's the only real drawback.
Right.
So I mean, I could totally like rock this wheel every day.
What about the front fenders? That looks a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a Vicari front fender. It's an all metal fender, and I believe it's about 20 or 30 mil wider than stock.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's definitely a lot wider. So enough to basically be wide here and then come back to the original body line. All right, so under the hood, we have some battery boxes. It's definitely not the most amazing thing to look at. There's not too much going on here, but I just, because of the situation, I just wanted to keep it super clean, right? So the goal here was to just make something that is pretty ordinary and boring to just look like really clean and tidy. So these are just boxes housing 2 full packs of Chevy Volt batteries.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't have crazy range with these batteries. They're more power dense, so the performance is more optimized versus the range.
What motors are you using?
The motor that I'm using is a single Tesla large performance drive unit. They're around 600 horsepower.
Wow.
This one's a little less than that, but it's still over 500.
So this is rear-wheel drive only?
Rear-wheel drive only, yes. So the brake booster, because there's no engine vacuum, we used a Tesla brake booster, and that is a Bosch iBooster. So Bosch actually makes these brake boosters for a bunch of different cars.
Yeah.
And it's really cool deal. It has a circuit board in it and it has an electric motor that actually provides assistance. So just a little tiny bit of pressure it's like a motor helping it.
Wow.
So the brakes on it are amazing. They're actually like far better than I thought that they were gonna be. And yeah, there's no vacuum, and it just doesn't need vacuum because it's little servos that are actually like electronically assisting.
What do you use for coolers, like radiators and stuff? Because this still needs a radiator, right?
Correct, there's actually 2 radiators in it, and those are CSF coolers. I used 2 CSF oil coolers actually, and they're just behind these little
Oh, I
diamonds.
see them right there.
Let's not look at the center section right now.
Right.
But the base of this bumper is it's a Blade Sport bumper. So they're just right next door, and they created this bumper where it's a factory AP2, but then it has this CR lip like molded on essentially. So if you look, there's no seam here. It's just like a molded on CR lip.
Right.
Okay. And then I really wanted to take it a step further, and I wanted the car to, just like the wheels, I wanted it to look electric, right?
Right.
I didn't want to just like put together a car and then, you know, have people not be impacted by it visually on the outside. I wanted it to like really show what's under the hood, if that makes sense. So me and my buddy Cody from Cassell Designs, we 3D scanned this bumper, and then what we ended up doing is just started rendering stuff. And he was like throwing ideas at me like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? So he started designing this just on the computer, right? And the whole design kind of turned into this. And what we ended up doing was we're like, okay, that looks really cool. Like, well, how do we make it? So he's like, well, we got to 3D print it, and I got to digitally render everything. And so he did it all. And then we actually had a 3D printer, a huge 3D printer, print this entire thing in one piece. Okay.
Wow.
So it was super cool, and it was just this giant insert. So what he did, because he's good at body work, he just ended up cutting out and then fitting and grafting this piece in. All right, so for the interior, it's pretty typical of an S2000. I wouldn't say anything is like, you know, too electric or, you know, veering too far away from OEM. The main thing that's different in this car is the shifter area. So if you could see that, it's just a little custom 3D printed insert, because I don't need to shift gears anymore. It's a single speed transmission. Something that you would notice right away too is the material of this dash. So this is like a suede dash, and then a little red stitch just to give it some of the homage to the Honda red, right?
Sparco seats?
Yep, Sparco seats and a Sparco steering wheel and some Sparco seat belts back here just in case I decide to ever hit the track. They're kind of hidden behind. But yeah, we have all the Sparco parts on here. We're running the AEM display, and that goes with our AEM controller and all the AEM parts that run the EV system. So just a simple trunk. I wanted to be able to have space. So we ended up just kind of keeping it simple, and we were able to put batteries elsewhere. But this is the contactor box. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on, but there's a couple cables coming into a couple fuses, and then that's going to these 2 contactors, which is my positive, and then I have negative contactors over here. As far as the motor fitting in the rear, we actually had to custom make some suspension parts. So the lower control arm for the rear looks kind of reminiscent to like an off-road truck, where it's like all the heim joints and spherical bushings and everything. The factory has pretty close pickup points, and because we had to put the motor in there and we had to extend the rear subframe about 8 inches, the lower arm is like a dog leg shape. So it's completely untraditional from any like S2000 part, basically. It's just completely custom made.
Ooh, look at this, so clean. Get in here, clean my shoes. So what's the sequence every time you come in here?
Well, really, you just gotta like turn the key to ignition 1, then ignition 2, but your foot has to be on the brake.
Okay.
If it's not on the brake, I guess it's like a standard electric car. It's just like a fail-safe, right?
Okay.
And then you gotta be in neutral, and then when you go to drive, you select drive position.
Okay.
And then you just kind of like
Just go.
start to move.
Oh, dude, this is so trippy. Hey, that's got a good push.
This car actually revs to 18,000 RPMs now, so
Oh my God.
but it's only a single speed.
Right.
That's the trade-off a little bit, right?
This is so crazy.